Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Moon in the seventh house in your horoscope. And what happens when Moon comes into your seventh house? Well, first of all, what is seventh house? Seventh house is a house of marriage, legal agreements. It's a house of marketplace, meaning other people, dealing with other people, like a businessman deals with other people. It's pretty much house of other people because first house is yourself, seventh house is other people, all the new people, including your spouse, who's a new person, but then obviously becomes old when you get used to them, you married to them, and you start living with them. But apparently, he was a new person. And seventh house also represents the courthouse. It represents agreements, dealing with agreements. Okay, and so when Moon comes here, Moon, which is emotions, which is your mind, your mother, which represents your emotional response to things that happen to you. How do you think inside when certain things happen to you? It's represented by the moon. So when Moon comes into the seventh house, your emotional balance happens when you are in a harmonious relationship with your spouse. Like here, Moon is now constantly about other people, including making agreements. Like Moon feels settled. Moon feels at peace when it has made some sort of agreement, when it has made some sort of a deal. So not only will your mind be towards your spouse and their needs and what's going on with them, but you'll also be a deal maker. Like you were one of those people who goes into the marketplace and you want to make the deal. And if you don't get the deal, you don't feel satisfied. Like if something is $10, you want to make sure you get it for $7. So this is where the mind is constantly. The mind feels balanced when a deal is made, when there's a balance in your relationship, in your marriage. When things go unbalanced, that's where your mind goes unbalanced. That's when you'll feel depressed or an anxiety because your moon is regarding the other people. And this especially represents somebody who's a very good businessman, actually, because since their mind is constantly dealing with keeping a balance with agreements, making agreements, dealing with other people, their mind gets used to, it remembers how to deal with other people. It wants to get good at it. So you can see somebody who can who you can pretty much be a businessman, a merchant. If However, if Moon is like unbalanced here, if Moon is not well dignified, as Moon is sitting with a malefic planet like Rahu or sitting with Saturn, then you will experience hardship in a marriage where it'll make your mind go unbalanced. If you have Rahu here, then it'll make you feel like, oh my God, is my spouse cheating on me or no? You'll be constantly worried about the spouse, and your concentration will double onto the part of the marriage. But however, this place is also a very good place to kind of get fame out there in the world. It becomes because again, 10th house and the 7th house becomes a house of other people, and so outside that Moon can shine, and especially when Moon is very well dignified here, when it's excelled, that's when you're very stable even in the bad circumstances. So if Moon is excelled in the 7th house, then you will not be your mind will not be unbalanced if something was to happen in situations of the marriage. But then it won't be happening because Moon is so strong here. You will get the right partner, because Moon in the 7th house not only just give people like beautiful partners, but also it gives them very physically active partner who's out there doing things. Why? Because remember, if you look at the Moon chart, Moon comes into the ascendant in the Moon chart, because in Vedic astrology they also use something called Moon chart, where wherever your Moon is placed, they just rotate that to where it's on the 1st house. So that means the 7th house now becomes the 1st house, and 1st house becomes the 7th house. So that means the 1st house, which represents your physical body, physical activity, like that sign of Aries, that's the kind of personality that you get from the spouse who's out there professionally, who's out there being active physically, who has a lot of energy within him. And then When moon aspects the first house from the seventh house, it feels that I will know myself when I know my spouse. This is why their entire life goes towards, taking care of their spouse. Because when moon aspects the first house, the ascendant, yourself, you identify yourself through your spouse. Well, we're back to my studios again. Apparently, I ran out of batteries. So, anyway, let's continue on with our moon in the seventh house. Well, since moon also represents your mother, it shows a mother who was very much of a business type person, who was out there for other people, who also was there dedicated to the father. But she was a deal maker. She was a bargain hunter. Like your mother loved bargaining. Like she went to market and somebody was selling potato for $10. She would get the potato for like $4 or $5. Like she would constantly, bargain. So, and then the relationship with the mother is very balanced. If moon is in a neutral sign or is in a friendly sign or is exalted, your mother is there to help you with your relationships. Your mother plays a part in helping you redefine your relationship, and not only that, your mother can also introduce you to your wife or your husband. In India, they do this still. It's an arranged marriage type of scenario. Or in here in Western world, your mother will be like, "Oh my God, my friend Judy has a son. He just graduated from Yale. He's a brilliant guy, handsome. You should meet him, hon." And the daughter goes like, "Okay, mom, I will meet him." Because then the dollar sign goes up on her head. Ah, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. Actually, it does, doesn't it? Well, okay, so that's what it represents. But remember, 12th house becomes 6th from the moon. So if you count 6 places from the moon, it is the 12th house, which then becomes the house of conflict, because 6th house, originally from the ascendant, 6th house is a house of obstacle, enemies, debts, diseases. It's a house that, keeps you from achieving your goals. So here, when moon is in the house of marriage, then foreign land becomes your house of obstacle. Foreign lands, losses, wherever you have to give your energy away. Foreign travel, foreign settlements becomes a way of obstacle in your place. Because if these people move to a different country, then what could happen is, I'll give you a very good example, is that I had one of the clients, not clients, I should say, just one of the people I studied, where as soon as this woman went to a foreign land, came to United States with her husband, suddenly her husband finds another girl at the office, falls in love with her, and now he wants a divorce from her. And I just got the email, I think probably a month ago, not too far away, but that's why it's still fresh in my memory. And so that's what happened. Her moon was actually in, I think it was in the sign of Capricorn. Yeah, her moon was in the sign of Capricorn, which is another hard place for the moon on the seventh house. And as soon as she went to foreign lands, it the husband found it, and then the mistress became the source of enemy. That means sixth house. The mistress, or the girl he was having an affair with, became an enemy. Okay, and obviously she got married before she was 27, 26, and I already saw how Cancer ascendant and Saturn placement delays the marriage. So obviously it could put some disturbance in the marriage. It could lead to divorce. But yeah, that's what happens with these people. So they should be careful of whenever settling into foreign lands. They should be very careful as to how their relationship is with the spouse. It's better to actually go into a foreign land and then marry, than to marry somewhere in her homeland and then come to foreign land with this position. Unless moon is in a good position. If it's exalted in its own sign, sitting with Jupiter, then it'll be in a much better place. But just make sure that the conflicts is not there. And then second house becomes the 8th place from the moon. That means sudden ups and downs in family, like a lot of turbulence in the family. Suddenly this happened, suddenly that happened. So you want to watch out for that too. The foreign lands and the family, the second house and the 12th house, become that house of conflicts and that house of the sudden ups and downs in life. All right. So guys, this was my analysis of moon in the 7th house. If you're new to my channel, subscribe above. And if you want to know where your moon is placed, where your other planetary placements are, check out my link below. Check out my book there, Astrology at the Speed of Light. And when you get the book, I will send you the link to look at your own chart. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow with a video on Tasha. All right? Bye-bye.